My name is Adele. My whole life, I was homeschooled and lived on a farm. Can you imagine? My parents were the ones teaching me. Instead of partying with my classmates, I rode horses when I had some free time. One day, I found out that Dad had been offered a job as a riding instructor at an equestrian club. And that meant our lives were about to change. Are we moving to the city? What about Pearl?
Your horse will live in the stable at the club. You'll be able to see her after classes.
Wow! I was so nervous that I even started biting my nails. You would be nervous if you were getting transferred at the end of the school year too, right? My parents reassured me and said they used to live in the city before I was born and that they'd liked it. Adele Goodman is not afraid of anything. Except spiders, of course. My dad was busy with his new job, so my mom was the one who helped me get ready for school. On the first day of classes, it turned out that there were a lot of rules at school. For example, I got hungry during the lesson and decided to go to the dining room. To my surprise, the teacher suddenly started yelling like a madman and said I couldn't leave without his permission. I was forbidden from doing so many things. Was I at school or a prison? I picked up the textbook in lit class and lay on the windowsill to read like I always did at home. When the teacher started scolding me for it, I called her mom out of habit. That won't happen again, Mom. Ma'am. My classmates kept glancing at me and giggling. Diego and Demi were the worst of them. Did you grow up in a zoo? Right? It's like our school has no pride. It turned out those jerks weren't just bullying me. Diego and Demi mocked most kids. Hey, morons! Who wants to do my homework for me? One day, I couldn't stand it any longer and asked my classmates why they let them treat them like that. We should wash out their mouths with soap. Are you with me? No one can do anything about them because Diego is the principal's son. Ugh, it was terrible. They could act like spineless minions if they wanted to, but I wasn't about to give that moron and his dumb girlfriend that satisfaction. I hoped that things would at least stay the same at home, but no such luck. As we were unpacking, Dad kept singing praises of his new student. Blah, blah, blah. No one even noticed I had a terrible day. I meditated for a while as I imagined riding Pearl. I am calm. I came to school in a good mood the next day. It's a new day! At recess, I heard my classmates in the hallway. It turned out that they were discussing the upcoming dance. I found out about the tradition to choose the prom king and queen. How curious! Wow, I've never heard anything like that! I even wanted to participate, but my classmates stopped me. Forget it. Diego has already been nominated for prom king. That means that Demi will definitely become the queen. Ugh, I was sick and tired of those two. Hearing their names made my blood boil. At that moment, I saw Diego. That psycho was skateboarding down the school hallway. It was too narrow, and he bumped into a stand with sports awards. Damn it! Mom will kill me! I smiled. Would justice prevail? But then, Diego snatched a guy from the crowd of onlookers and convinced him to take the blame. The next second, we heard the principal's stern voice. This is unacceptable! Who did this? That poor guy hung his head guiltily and was about to say that it was his fault. Hell no, I couldn't bear such injustice. I came up to Mrs. Rojas and told her the truth. If you were a good principal, you would have realized long ago that Diego uses the fact that you're his mom to bully his classmates. I said that and left, pleased with myself. Diego shouted after me that I would pay for my audacity. Pfft, I didn't scare that easily. I went to the equestrian club after classes. I wanted to ride Pearl and forget about my troubles at school. Sweetie, I'm so glad you came. Come meet my student. I told you about him. I looked at the guy next to my father and was stunned. It was Diego! Oh no, anyone but him! I didn't want to see his stupid face so much that I went home. The next day, the principal called me to her office. Damn it! I'd publicly humiliated her and she was going to get even now. Hello? Oh, Adele, come in. I felt even more nervous when I saw my personal file on Mrs. Rojas' desk, but she suddenly smiled. To be honest, I was thinking of punishing you for what happened yesterday, but then I read your file and realized that you just needed some help. Adapting to school after being homeschooled isn't easy after all. Thank you for speaking up and telling me the truth about Diego. I promise I will punish him. Oh, did I hear that right? That was awesome! Her son was pissed off. At recess, he came up to me looking like he'd swallowed a lemon. Hey, new girl, I've had it with you. Stay out of my business. I can't stand snobs like you.
My mom punished me and forbade me from horse riding because of you!
Would he stop coming to the club now? Wow, things were truly looking up. It was a great day. Diego walked around looking gloomy. My classmates had stopped whispering behind my back, and I also found out that someone had nominated me for prom queen. That's cool, but who did it?
It was my idea. You are a pretty girl with a good academic record. You deserve to participate.
I felt shy. Hearing that felt great. In the evening, I told my parents the news, and they seemed happy for me.
That's great, Adele. I knew that moving would be good for you.
I spent a lot of time with Mrs. Rojas over the next few days. She even helped me choose a luxurious dress for prom.
You look like a movie star, Adele.
Could I leave the dress at school for now? Our apartment is being renovated, and I'm afraid it will get dirty.
Of course you can.
Diego rolled his eyes when he saw us giggling at recess, like we were old friends. Demi was fuming. No wonder. After all, she'd had no worthy competitors before me. I was determined to become the new queen. You are faker than my nails. I will win at all costs. Good luck with that. Everything was going great. For the first time since moving, I felt happy. Unfortunately, that didn't last long. Sorry for the spoiler. It all began when I visited Dad at the club that weekend and saw Diego there. Hold on, what the heck? Mrs. Rojas had forbidden him from attending the riding classes. When Diego saw me, he tensed up. It was clear he was afraid I would rat him out. Adele, could I have a word with you? We started off on the wrong foot. How about this? If you keep this a secret, I'll stop bullying you at school. Deal? I thought about it and decided I can stand up for myself. You should stop being such an arrogant jerk and treat our classmates better. You're something, new girl. All right. From that day on, we often saw each other at the club. Sometimes we even rode our horses together and chatted about our hobbies for hours. This is Pearl. She is my favorite. She's beautiful. Can I pet her? If she lets you. At moments like that, we forgot about our differences, and to be honest, Diego turned into the most handsome guy in the world. I could swoon. Soon, we became friends and even started hanging out at school. It would have been fine, but Demi was going crazy with jealousy. The way she glared at me made me uneasy. Besides that, someone started messing with me. They broke the lock on my locker and threw my gym uniform in the trash. And then they even started a rumor about me in the group chat. They claimed I was saying nasty things about everyone behind their backs. My classmates stopped trusting me. Ugh, if that was Demi's doing, she would get it. At recess, I confronted that lying snake. You would do anything to become prom queen, wouldn't you? Admit it. I know how to play dirty, but I will earn that title honestly. It seemed she wasn't lying. If Demi wasn't the one behind it all, then who was? I was helping Mom sort through the things from our old house that evening when I found Dad's school album. The fashion was ridiculous when we were young. And then I noticed something very weird. Is that young Mrs. Rojas? It can't be. Was she Dad's classmate? Can you imagine? I wondered if they were still friends and asked my dad about it. But he grimaced when I said Mrs. Rojas was the principal at my school.
I don't know who you're talking about, honey. I don't know her.
Dad was lying and acting suspicious. Just imagine, he even forbade me from trying to become the prom queen. It came completely out of the blue. Why? You said it was a good idea.
Don't argue with me. Just do as I say.
Oh my God, why was he shouting at me? I got angry and slammed the door. Whatever. Things weren't going well at school either. In the morning, I saw that someone had broken into my locker and poured coffee over my dress. Did a black cat cross my path? Why am I so unlucky? I had to take the dress to the dry cleaners. But then I saw that Diego was limping. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just fell off a horse. It'll heal soon.
At that moment, Mrs. Rojas came around the corner. She'd heard what we were talking about and went ballistic.
What? Diego de Rojas, I forbade you from going to that club.
Sorry, Mom, but I really like horse riding.
Look at you. You could have been seriously injured. Where was your instructor looking?
I didn't want them to fight, and I certainly didn't want my father to get in trouble, so I decided to break in. My dad is a great instructor and knows everything about horses. Horse riding is risky, just like any sport. Diego is great at it. Let him do the thing he loves. The woman grimaced, like I had treated her to a cupcake with boogers.
Is your father his riding instructor? Diego, don't you dare go to that club again.
Having said that, she stormed off. I was confused. I was about to go ahead when I suddenly saw a courier leave a bouquet of flowers at the principal's office. Well, Did Mrs. Rojas have a secret admirer? I read the note in the bouquet and was left speechless. It turned out that my dad had been the one to send the flowers. Was he having an affair? No, I had to get to the bottom of it. One day, I saw them after school. Dad and Mrs. Rojas were standing in the school parking lot and arguing. What was wrong with them? I crept closer.
And Diego isn't allowed to attend your classes anymore.
He is fine. He almost got hurt. This conversation is over. She left and Dad stared after her, looking guilty. Dad, what's going on?
It's nothing. Get in the car. Remember, you aren't allowed to participate in the contest. Actually, you know what? I forbid you from going to the prom.
Dad!
You heard me, young lady.
That was so unfair. Someone at school was still messing with me. In just one day, I sat on a gum and got locked in the toilet. Ugh, I was furious. Wait a minute, what was everyone doing in the hallway? Let me see. I came closer and saw the results of the preliminary voting. Most students had voted for me. I could definitely become the prom queen. Woohoo! I immediately hurried to Mrs. Rojas's office to tell her the good news. Have you seen it yet? A lot of students voted for me. What's all this? I saw torn ballots for the other candidates in the trash.
Never mind that, Adele.
Those were damaged. Congratulations, honey. Those ballots didn't look damaged. Why was Mrs. Rojas cheating? It seemed she wanted me to become the prom queen no matter what. But why? Okay, here's what happened next. The next day, I decided to talk to Diego. We had grown very close lately, and I felt like he was the only one who would support me. However, then Demi came up to him. She didn't notice me. Diego, I did everything you asked me to. I found her dress at the dry cleaners and ruined it.
Demi, shut up!
Now, Adele definitely won't become the prom queen. What the hell? Diego, how could you? Oops. Let me explain. I thought you were my friend. Was it you messing with me this whole time? I don't want to see you again. Looking at a dancing bear always calmed me down. After I had cooled off, I decided I would go to the dance to spite everyone.
They didn't know who they were messing with yet.
I grew up on a farm, so I got another dress and left through the window. I wanted to get on a horse and ride it to school, but had to settle for a bike.
Sweetie, you look amazing, and you're right on time.
Thank you, Mrs. Rojas. To no one's surprise, Diego became the prom king. That traitor was forgetting that the queen was the most powerful piece on the chessboard.
Dear students, Adele Goodman is your new queen. Please come on stage.
It was my time to shine. I was so glad justice prevailed. But then,
wait! Adele, get off the stage!
Dad, what are you doing here?
I need to tell you something.
The story he told me made my head spin. It turned out that Dad and Mrs. Rojas really had gone to the same school. Dad used to be a terrible bully, and Mrs. Rojas had been the most beautiful girl in school. Of course, she was also the prom queen. When she had come up on stage to get the crown, Dad had doused her with paint while everyone laughed.
I was young and stupid, and to this day I regret it. Mrs. Rojas helped you become the prom queen so that Diego would avenge his mother's humiliation.
No, it can't be true. You wouldn't have done that to me. But then I saw a bucket above the stage. Diego was holding it using a rope.
It's true, Adele. Mom put me up to it.
Diego, be quiet.
I wanted to avenge her, but then I got to know you and realized that I didn't want to go through with it. I did all those nasty things so that you wouldn't become the prom queen. I sent you flowers and came to apologize in person.
You pushed my son off a horse.
No, Mom, I just fell off of it. Children should not pay for their parents' mistakes.
And then, Dad did something no one was expecting. He grabbed the rope and...
Well, Alexandra, am I forgiven?
No, I will never forgive you. The evening was ruined. Everyone went home lost in thought. Dad and I did as well. I was worried about him, but he was glad he'd saved me from being humiliated. He apologized for not telling me about everything earlier and told me to be careful around Mrs. Rojas. The principal stopped pretending to be nice after that. She forbade Diego from being friends with me or going to the club, but we're still friends. Diego says I make him a better person. Sometimes we go horse riding in secret, and I think we will soon become an item. I hope one day Mrs. Rojas will forgive Dad, and we won't have to hide anymore. What can I do to make that happen as soon as possible? Write your suggestions in the comments down below.